This entire show will be centered around the greatest achievement in the history of the game, Daryl Mitchell, 3 tons in a losing side. History made. Unbelievable. I guess Bairstow did some stuff as well. England 3-0 up against New Zealand. We're also going to be previewing England versus India, the 5th test from 2020-something. I don't really remember what that was about, but we're going to preview it as well. Sri Lanka and Australia, abject failure in the ODIs, but the test match starts on Wednesday. Who's going to play? What's going to happen? I don't know. The BBL, do we need to privatise it? More stuff around that. Bangladesh have lost by 10 wickets to the West Indies. Kyle Myers doing some stuff. Kemar Roach going past Michael Holding. Matthew Kuhnemann is on the show. This episode is brought to you by Budgy Smuggler. The new hoodie and tracksuit range in Australia, the new swimwear in the UK. My name is Ian Higgins, Sam Perry. I want to tell you, as if you were a New Zealander, about how to tour properly, how to tour internationally in cricket.
Right.
Because Australia, they went to Pakistan and they batted, and they batted, and they batted, and they got 1-0. They got 1-0 up, and then they fucked off, and they said to Pakistan, sort out your dressing rooms. Your dressing rooms are no good. What I'm talking about is that Cricket Australia apparently spoken to the PCB after the recent tour of Pakistan and said that the dressing rooms at the Gaddafi Stadium over there in Lahore, no good. Fucking sort them out. We've just beaten you 1-0. Now sort out your sheds. G'day.
G'day, mate. I thought that would tickle you a little bit because you played for Gordon, which was a high SES club. And so you would have been to plenty of places, no doubt.
With a furrowed brow.
That's right. And like I look at this from Australia, and it's a classic play. You win, and then you complain about the state of the ground, the dressing room, etc. That's a classic play to assert your superiority, right?
Yep.
But I think you've got to be careful what you wish for, because sometimes people enjoy sledging other grounds. That's actually part of the small amount of things that they can actually feel good about when it comes to cricket. Can't feel good on the field, have more bad days than good. Many more bad days than good. But like, you know, look, I played for a higher SES club as well, North Sydney. And like, when you play for a team from a high SES region and you're just in that team because daddy had a good job and you won a genetic lottery. Like, blokes would love pouring, like, ugly scorn on the facilities, like, where there were fewer resources. So, you know, someone would say, like, look at this shit tip, you know, as you're warming up. How about this fucking shit tip? And that'd be said by a bloke who, like, works casually at Officeworks, who's dropped out of TAFE, has $34 in his Dolomite account, and has 1 pair of pointed brown shoes so he can get into upstairs cargo. But that was his thing, you know? He could say, this is a fucking shit tip. It's like, he got a lift to the ground. He couldn't even afford a fucking bacon and egg McMuffin. He's got no prospects in life, but dad made some money fucking 30 years ago. So he can say that about a place out west that one day he will never be able to afford a house in, unless that inheritance money comes through, because actually house prices out west are quite high. And that's what Australia's done to Pakistan, you know?
Yeah, but look at this shit.
What was their problems with the sheds? Like, do they want dividers in the tubs now? Like, what's the problem? Sheds are good, especially if you win. There's character to them. What's the problem?
I would imagine. Okay, first of all, size is everything.
Yeah,
when it comes to the sheds and within the sheds,
Start from the foundations.
Now, I've played in grounds. Now, you see this way more in the UK, tiny dressing rooms. And on top of that, everyone puts their bag on the seat, so nowhere to sit in the dressing room.
Is that a property thing? Like, is that a UK properties 9/10 of the law, possessions 9/10 of the law idea? Is that why they put bags on seats?
Are you saying they're colonising the seats?
Yeah, that's what Sydney Uni used to do when you play against them, but with warm-up spots.
Yeah, with warm-ups.
You go and find where the home likes to do it because they understand property and possession.
I suppose so. But I think like the worst dressing rooms that I've been a part of, the size is the issue, and it's just tiny. no comfort factor, and then there's also the dressing room cum toilet block.
It's just such a great joining word. Cum. Why? You can't say it. I mean, it's a ruined word. Dressing room cum toilet block. Oh, okay, someone's coming on a toilet block. I mean, that's where I go. 2 degrees.
Yeah. Well, there's also the amount of dogging that we've all seen around.
Not to be confused with daggering.
Around 3s and 4s games. But I've also played a grade game where there's been no dressing room. I had to put kit under a tree.
Yeah.
That's really been park shit.
Well,
that's the grimmest of the grim.
It's very confronting.
When there's no literal construct to house your possessions. When you're pursuing this pastime, then it's like, well, what are we doing this for? This is the least professional thing that I could think of. I'm already making drinks. I'm already got to move the side screens. I'm already scoring. We've got a guy at Square Leg fucking umpiring in flip flops, cum thongs, cum shorts. Now I'm talking about something there with his shorts, to be honest.
Of course, yeah.
But
I know a few guys like that.
but if I can't go into a dressing room and privately dismantle it with my kit after another failure with the bat, then what am I here for?
Yeah. There are a few things funnier than like attacking the sensibilities and like expectations of a grade cricketer. Again, it comes back to like a ratepayer walking on the field with their dog. The grade player who's not from that area becomes very upset that their field of play has been encroached upon. It's like trespassing at fucking 4 for 20.
Yeah.
He just wants a paper and he's just walking on the ground as he normally does. But the grade cricketer, I'm too good a player to be experiencing this insult. But it's like, no, you're not a good player. You've never learned how to play straight down the ground. You fall across. It's very easy to get you out. In fact, after 20 or 30 balls, you become afraid that you're still in. You haven't learnt that in 20 plus years of playing the game. But if that bloke walks across your field, you reserve the right to look down on him.
You're a bad player when you face 20 balls, and now it's basically a secret sound of a FM radio station where it's just a time bomb. You got to say stop before the explosion happens because you know it's going to happen. You know it's going to happen.
That's so true. You're on 20. Well, I guess this is when I get out.
I've never been here before.
Oh, that's right. I'm at base camp of Everest here. I am completely unfamiliar with this situation. I better run away from it, like I do other opportunities for success in my life.
I'm calling for gloves. I'm calling for oxygen.
I need a Sherpa to carry up. Anyway, Gaddafi rooms need to be improved or some shit. Mate, I'm with Pakistan on this. Like, I watched the test on Amazon like we all did. And like everybody else, my conclusion when I walked away was that test cricket is just threes with more kit. Like, just fucking reduce the kit and the staff and you won't have this problem.
Yeah, that's true.
Reduce blokes whose job it is to just write on the whiteboard that they won a session or that you can't not be aggressive. Then you can fucking enjoy the Gaddafi rooms. Why are we talking about there's so much cricket on? Shed stuff.
There's so much cricket on. Speaking of so much cricket, if you want to get around and support TGC, patreon.com/Great Cricket. There's 96 episode of #AskTGC Fridays. This is episode 198 of the main show, as it were. And we've decided to put this one on Patreon in the next couple of weeks to celebrate the 100th episode of #AskTGC Fridays at Patreon. The best all-time #AskTGCs, that forum is already up on Patreon. So if you want to be part of that, that episode will drop in a couple of weeks' time. But if you want to leave suggestions of what your favourite questions have ever been, patreon.com/Great Cricket. And of course, we'll be doing dailies for the fifth test of England and India, and also the first test of Sri Lanka and Australia over there in Gaul. And of course, you'll be able to get that on YouTube as well. But if you just want the audio, patreon.com/Great Cricketer.
He goes, and just to jog anyone's memories, because it's been great to read people's comments of the front runners for their favourite AskTGC Fridays. If you're not part of Patreon, maybe some of these won't make sense, but I've got a bit of a lisp of some... lisp? Well, I do have a bit of a lisp, actually. But
sure.
Not for me. I have... That didn't sound like a lisp. It sounded like you were deaf. But anyway, just to jog people's memories... So the front runners so far are Eye Poke, Cookie's looking good today, Grinder Threesome, Sex Chat Lady with knowledge of LBW law, Richie Benno saying there's something in the bathroom for you, Don, during a dinner party, Blimpy Boy, Tall, Thick and Dad Dick, Manus riding a horse, Cerebral Palsy umpires, where the guy said, take that, you able-bodied cunt. My batting grip is a leather dog collar and Trough Man. So that's just a jog your memory. If you have other favourite AskTGCs,
Plenty memories.
You know, you can support us at Patreon and get around that. It gets a bit loose.
All right, well, New Zealand batted first, and this is the test match over there in Headingley. And they hit 329. Daryl Mitchell at 109. Then England hit 360. Johnny Bairstow, 162. Overton hit 97. Then New Zealand hit 326. And then England's chased down 296 in the easiest manner anyone's ever seen possible. I don't understand anything that's happening in the game of cricket anymore. This is exactly the same team. It's actually probably a slightly worse team that England put out than they have in the last 18 months. And yet, now they're just chasing down 300 in about fucking 6 overs. Johnny Bairstow has no technical flaws anymore, especially with anything on the stumps. Jack Leach has taken 10 fers. What? It's been the perfect series for England. I don't know how it could have been any better for England. We'll probably talk about the game first rather than the series, but
get a
everything's
series.
gone well.
Yeah.
Fuck the game.
Yeah.
Everything's gone well. They've got Ollie Pope at 3, hundreds. Joe Root's still performing very nicely. Now Johnny Bairstow has hit, it must be 400s in his last 6 games. Something, maybe is that right? And he's just been amazing. The fielding has been sensational. And New Zealand have just put up enough fight where you're like, no, New Zealand's a good team. New Zealand's a good team. Like Trent Bolt was fucking bowling amazingly in this game. They were 55 for 6 at some point. And Bairstow just hits fucking 160 off 7 balls. And so there's just been enough times when New Zealand put up enough fight where it's like, no, this is good. Except what? How? Why? What? I don't trust it. Is that my problem?
They're calling it Baz-Ball, he goes. They're calling it Baz-Ball.
Okay. It's got a name.
It might just might revolutionise cricket as we know it. Look, I think to be... like who?
Sam Allardyce if he was an Italian manager.
Ladici. To be fair, I don't think anybody in England is getting ahead of themselves on it. No,
it doesn't feel like it, to be
I
fair,
want them to. I want them to strike it down. But they're not. So heading into this series, England had won one test match in 17, famously. Everyone in the squad is the same as those that were in the squad from those 17 test matches, really. But 3 new blokes come in to lead, and they've never done that job before. Each of them have never done that thing.
Yep.
They were 69 for 4 at Lords, and they chased 280 to win. They make 160 in the final session to win at Trent Bridge. 160.
Yeah.
They were 55 for 6 at Headingley in response to 329, and they chased 300 3 down. Apparently the night before, Stokes said we can get them tonight if we just go at 7s. And he had to be...
What?
And he had to be talked down. I heard that from Phil Walker on the Wisdom podcast, and it was a good listen. Bairstow's made 394 runs off 328 balls this series.
Yep.
Leach has taken a 10-fer. Root is somehow better than he was before. Yep. They've reversed the world champions 3-0 12 months after being swept by them in the same country.
Yeah.
And as Aussies, I think it's fair that we say, well, New Zealand were just dog shit. Mate,
It has to be partly true. It has to be at least partly true. I'm sorry. It has to be a little bit true.
Look, when Scott Boland ripped through England on Boxing Day, or a couple of days after, whatever.
Right.
England regaining the Ashes at home looked almost inconceivable. They looked broken, really. Aside from, various people, myself, saying...
Yeah.
look, they're pretty hard at home anyway. Just fucking nibble it around, and Anderson does something. Whatever. Smith isn't Bradman anymore. But like they looked completely fucked at that point.
Yep.
And now,
Yep.
I can see them vibing an Ashes win at home for sure. Like it's improvement, and like it seems loose as fuck, but it's pretty funny. And again, I'm paraphrasing Phil on Wisden, but according to him, like Brendan McCullum has said overnight that because I didn't watch the press conference, that like he wants to take the team like he wants to take this way of playing the game as far past the line of pragmatism as possible. Hence Stokes saying like, well, we can do it at sevens. He wants to go too far before he learns what the line is.
Okay. Are they headbutting the line?
They're not headbutting the line. They're fucking the line, you know. But they're
Jesus.
And I like this is good because as Australians, we're like Australian cricket only does pragmatism. Like we don't dream, we don't do wonder. You know, like as we always say, like everything must be hard. You got to work hard, circuit hard, be hard, never smart.
Yeah, never
always
smart.
hard. And so when you see like 300 being chased 3 down in fucking 4 balls, which is quite a clip.
That's quite a clip. You know,
we don't compute that. Like the immediate response to that is like, well, New Zealand are dog shit. That's a road. That doesn't compute. And that's perfect. I don't think England knows whether it computes yet, but they've been having fun doing it. Like they were cooked, England, and they've won 3-0. And like they've had New Zealand have had a few good players. New Zealand are fading big time. They've lost Ross Taylor, obviously, and Williamson failed. Latham didn't offer much. And they lost Kyle Jamieson as well. But like it's like I don't know. The Aussie in me is just like wait until we get you to the Gabba or some shit, which doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense.
For the first Ashes test next year at the Gabba.
That's right.
Edgbaston this year? Not Gabba.
Yeah.
Gabba, then Wales.
They couldn't. You're right. Like they really couldn't have done this much better. Like it is like McCullum fucking times a million.
Yeah, you know, in the first innings when they found themselves 55 for 6, when Stokes ran down the wicket again to Southey and he fucking smashed him over his head, and it's like, what the fuck is this? It's amazing. And then 2 balls later, he tries to do it to Wagner and he hits it to like the 3/4 man down at mid-off, and then I think that made it 55 for 5, I think, when Stokes got out. And it was like, oh, that's bad. But then at the same time, it's like, well, that's just what it's going to be. But I still can't... I mean, okay, New Zealand are... no, Ross Taylor's a big one. Williamson, before this test match, in England against England, averages 25.
Has he played one game?
No, this was his 8th. This was his 8th test match. So he's got to for his record, given he averages 50 in Test cricket, that's remarkably poor. So it doesn't help if there's no runs for him. Ross Taylor not there anymore, and Daryl Mitchell, who wasn't even in the squad for this, is the only guy who's well, actually Tom Blundell's actually had a really good series as well. But if all your runs are coming at 6 and 7, it feels like. But actually, the amount of runs wasn't the issue. The bowling was the issue. The concession of runs. But then, I mean, Bolt has come just from the IPL. So has Southey. But Southey did seem a little bit off to me, but then Bolt in this game was just, especially in this game, in this third game, was fucking unplayable at times. But maybe this is McCullum's angle where just play white ball cricket because you guys are really good at white ball cricket. And with Johnny Bairstow coming in at 5 now and just having the series of his entire life, it reminded me a little bit of when Marnus came into the test team for the Australian side, and this was after sandpaper where they didn't have Smith Warner for a period of time, and Australia looked really bad. And then all of a sudden, when Marnus came in and did really well, then you've got like 2 world-class batters in the middle order, and it seemed to make a lot more sense. The team became infinitely better. The bowling was better all of a sudden, less pressure at the top of the innings. It gave opportunity for Cameron Green to come in later on to develop his cricket as well. But when Joe Root has just been playing these games and he's been doing it on his dick and scoring 200s and losing teams and whatever, that's all well and good. But if no one else is going with him, then you're going to lose 17 games out of 18. But now Bairstow coming in, it's like, but now, can England play? Except Johnny Bairstow's played like fucking 60 test matches, averages 30. And he gets bowled all the time. So, like,
you asked before, you said, but it's the same team, so I don't trust it. I mean, the variable is leadership, like leadership can unlock. Like,
Yep.
The question is it like a bit of a halo effect and a honeymoon period, or can that style of play, which is very specific, as in just out and out attack, can it apply to the like multitude of conditions that Test cricket can throw up across the world? But England have fallen into the trap before of caring about the next series more than this current one. Like, I just think they've won 3-0. It's a fucking great start. Good for them. Okay, maybe New Zealand are dog shit, but let's just find out. Now England get to play half of the Indian team and half of the Leicestershire team this Friday, and I don't know. India would India will have some plans, but I don't know. I just think I think McCullum's played a blinder. I think when you win one test from 17. You're in a great position to try doing it a different way. And, like, if you're coming from such a low base, then what have you got to lose, really? Like, and it's actually come off really well. Who knows whether it will work down the track? You'd imagine that a couple of better teams might be able to affect some tactics that make that approach look silly. But who cares? England can cross that bridge when they come to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, just on that element of leadership, Jack Leach... Root obviously just did not want to play Jack Leach. He also didn't want to play Anderson and Broad. So a few blokes he didn't want to play. And then Jack Leach was taken 10 for 5 for 100 in the first dig, 5 for 66 in the second. He had Henry Nicholls in all sorts of trouble, who's apparently got a terrible record against left arm orthodox spin. But Jack Leach, 10 wickets, and that's the first time he's taken 5 for in England, and he's done it back-to-back here. That's good. That's good. So now all guys are performing well, except for Zach Crawley. So just be greedy with that. Get angry about that.
Well, they're talking now, mate, about like whether, and Kumar Sangakkara was behind this, but they're talking about whether, given their new style, there is a spot for Joss Buttler in the Test side at the top of the order. If they're just going to fucking go all out and just play ODI cricket, T20 cricket, let's go. I still think that Zach Crawley is absolutely part of that England side for a long time. He's just going to need a little bit of time, and you can afford that time when you've got other blokes scoring, like Bairstow did overnight, 80 off fucking 40 rocks. But I don't know. Bring Butler in. Who gives a fuck? I mean, that's basically what England's playing anyway.
Yeah, is Hales available?
Yeah.
I guess Owen Morgan's retiring now, so there's that.
Well done.
So Owen Morgan is supposed to. We're recording this on Tuesday. Is that what day is today? And Owen Morgan is apparently going to be announcing his retirement from international cricket today in the UK. So by the time you listen to this, it's probably already happened. But Owen Morgan won the thing that he was supposed to win. They put so much effort and energy into the 2019 World Cup, and they won it. And they got the photo of him holding the trophy, and that was his crowning achievement. I'm a little bit surprised he hasn't gone all the way with into the T20 World Cup in here in Australia, given it's in a few months' time. But Pez, we were just talking off air before, and his record ain't so good for a hot minute.
Look, I think he gave himself a good crack for a while once the eyes went of making it to that T20 World Cup. Yeah, the eyes he had a crack for 18 months at scoring some runs, couldn't quite do it, and then pulled the pin. And I think that's probably the right thing to do. But when it comes to like reflecting on Morgan, really, you say he won the thing he was meant to win, but back in 2015, after they got absolutely trounced at the World Cup, like conceiving of England as the fucking alpha cock show cricketers of the white ball format was just impossible. And they have changed. They've taken the game forward enormously. They're playing a brand that's ahead of what really anybody else is doing. And that was largely due to Owen Morgan. And I think that he's deeply respected in England for making that real. Him and Trevor Bayliss together. I think it's it's a pretty excellent career on his part. And yeah, he gave himself every chance to keep it going. That he was probably entitled to do it, but he's pulled the pin. But I think ultimately he'll be remembered as the person who basically turned England cricket around from being beta cucks at white ball stuff to like alpha cock shows. You can't really ask for much more than that. That's what we all ask for in white ball cricket, isn't it? Well, the alpha cock show side. But think about England to the cock show of white ball cricket. How did that happen? How did the world allow that? How did the world allow that to happen? Well, Owen Morgan really drove it, and doesn't England know it? Josh Butler's going to be captain.
Yeah, Josh Butler is going to be captain, and that's a pretty good replacement, I reckon. Now, I'm just going to see what happens to Josh Butler because he himself has played 65 something Test matches, and I don't know if he'd ever need to play Test match cricket anymore because his white ball stuff is just fucking so good. Anyway, England and India, the fifth Test from the 2021 series, which obviously famously was curtailed due to coronavirus, the novel coronavirus that I'm not sure if you've heard has been going around for a bit. And that Test match is in Edgbaston on July 1. That's Friday this week. So the game that was going to be played was at Manchester, wasn't it? At the end of that series. And then they pulled the pin the morning of the game.
Okay, well, hang on. Okay, like, depending on, your prejudices or politics or intellect or education or knowledge or how old you are or whether you're left or right-handed, they left or forfeited or escaped or boycotted. I don't know if we ever found the right word for what happened there. And also depending upon your insurance position as well. They're back. But they're back.
Yeah.
To finish
and they're going to play
a weird cricket series.
At Edgbaston, where England
or the Cauldron
have a pretty good record. So the series is 2-1 to India at the moment. Now, this series, Pez, was so long ago that Ollie Robinson was the leading wicket taker in that series, took 21 poles. Joe Root was the captain. Virat Kohli was the captain. Silverwood and Shastri were the coaches. This seems like a fucking lifetime ago. And I guess a fair bit has happened in the world and cricket since then. But that's what's happening in this series. They're going to complete the series. Now, in the meantime, India have been playing a warm-up game against Leicestershire, the might of Leicestershire, but it's not really Leicestershire. So just a couple of notes before then. Ashwin tested positive for COVID before he got on the flight to the UK. He's fine now. He's joined the squad now in Leicestershire. He actually played a part in that game. Rohit Sharma, though, has tested for positive, and he might not be able to play on Friday, but Agarwal is brought into the squad. And I just reminded that you don't need to do any quarantine period now for international travel, so Agarwal can just come straight into the squad, which just reminded me that the whole COVID time where there's just periods of, isolation and
I remember
quarantine, all that stuff. Yeah, do you remember that?
Yeah.
Anyway, India have been playing a practice match against Leicestershire. It's turned into a centre wicket. Kohli's had 3 digs in this game. Indian net bowlers are bowling for both teams. Pujara's had a stick for Leicestershire. So Leicestershire, they're using their ground. That's what's happening.
And a couple of Leicestershire players.
Yeah, that's right. And the match was drawn.
Bumrah bowled for both sides. Shreyas Iyer and Jadeja batted twice in an innings. Kohli batted 7 and Pujara batted 8. And Jadeja got a 50 but didn't do the sword celebration. So that's how little this game means. I think the two, from an Indian perspective here, guys, this was a fucking great series last year.
It was a good series,
The series was hot, and India, 2-1 up, so unlosable, I suppose, but they're pretty keen to get that scalp of a series win in England. I think the two big ones for India are, you mentioned Rohit having COVID. I think they're hopeful that he'll play, but remembering that, Rohit Sharma's captain of the Test team.
Yeah.
And Kohli, if he doesn't play, Kohli won't take over. KL Rahul's not there because he's got a groin issue. And so people are asking whether Bumrah's going to captain. Bumrah was apparently setting fields for a bit. Bumrah's never captained. He's vice captain. Bumrah's never captained at any level. And so it's that would be pretty interesting in terms of who will get the gig. I just got the feeling that given that context, Rohit will just probably play. They'll just make that happen. And then the other one
is interesting.
it looked like they discarded Cheteshwar Pujara from the side after the Sri Lanka series, but he's back in the squad because they obviously see him as an England expert for it's like a fucking one-off prize fight. He went over to Sussex, Pujara, scored 720 runs in 8 innings. So I don't think you're bringing over someone as senior as Pujara to run the drinks, so to speak.
Yeah.
So
no.
Or no,
well,
just
there's nothing
literally.
with that captaincy thing. I mean, Rahane's obviously not in the squad as well. He was sort of discarded after that Sri Lanka series with Pujara. But so then Shreyas Iyer has got captaincy aspirations, but he's only played a couple of games, so he wouldn't do it. Now Rishabh Pant has been captaining India in this white ball series against South Africa, where they were playing a B side basically, but it feels wild for him to do it as well. So Sharma will play if he's on his fucking deathbed. It sounds like.
That's right. Who was skipper? I guess they've given
anyone but Virat.
Yeah, let's get him back. I mean, that's one disappointing thing about this. Like, I wouldn't have minded. Like, so I'm just thinking about like how McCullum's brought the chill and the vibes and the energy to England cricket, and like I feel like that's kind of followed the Australian approach with McDonald and Vittori and Devanuto and these guys being all about like being happy and not being pained by cricket anymore. That's the new trend in cricket. Like, be happy, accept when you fail, it's okay. Just keep your mental health together because it's a fucking brutal game. But India under Shastri was like angry. Shastri and Kohli axis was angry, at your throat, want to kill you, Indian pride. And I wouldn't have minded seeing Shastri versus McCullum, and I actually wouldn't also mind seeing cricket coaches with a technical area, as in football.
Yes, of course, yes.
Especially Shastri.
Kicking water bottles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But instead, India is now in the Dravid era, who's also pretty chill in his own way.
Yeah, very calm. Yeah.
I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that humans have worked out how to relax.
I remember in the series that the Boomer was bowling bumpers to Anderson, who fucking did not like one bit of that, and they were sort of going at each other. That was at Lords, I think.
Yeah.
And
there were fights in the long room and stuff as well.
Yeah. There was a big partnership with someone who scored. Boomer scored a 50, didn't he, at Lords? Was that game?
He scored runs.
They all got down there. They all got down there into the long room. They clapped him in.
Him off. Yeah.
And then why can't I think of this fucking coach's name? The seamer for India,
Siraj.
Young guy, Siraj. Thank you, Siraj. Yeah, absolute wheeling away. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, is that the Oval when they rolled England in a session?
It was a hot series. It was hot.
It was a hot series. It was a hot series. Anyway, so they're going to finally complete that a year and a half later or whatever. But so good for them. Okay, a series that has concluded and then will commence in Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka won that ODI series 3-2. Not much to write home about. Dave Warner hit 99, then a losing side. I suppose that's good. Josh Inglis got a game. He batted 4. He scored 5 of 10. Australia basically spun out in that series. Disappointing in lots of regards because England win series when they're playing their C team. And I sense a bit of a lack of depth in ODI cricket, which is weird because I still don't really know where we're at with our white ball program. Though they are the current T20 world champions, so that's good. But they'll probably make a semi-final or a final in this World Cup in October, November. But the ODI stuff is it's harder to pin down where Australia's at with it because I look at the names in the team sheet and I'm like, that doesn't look good. But then I'm like, and then who else? Anyway, anything to say about the ODI series?
Yes, I do.
Abject failure.
I do.
Please tell me.
And it's connected to the Test series because you've mentioned the things that were concerning about it. Sri Lanka spun them out. Australia's playing mid-90s cricket, scoring 220, 250, trying to defend. Guys making like less than run a ball scores. I want more now. I'm gluttonous. But I saw something more concerning than that, he goes. And I'm sure you saw it as well. At the end of this series, after Australia made a consolation victory, in the like tempestuous problematic context of the Sri Lankan, polis at the moment, those Sri Lankan fans were packing the stadiums, many of them in yellow shirts with messages saying, "Thanks, Australia. Yeah. Thank you, Australia. Thank you, Australia.
Thank you.
G'day, mate. Thank you." Now, I find that deeply worrying. This is ugly scenes. And it makes me think Sri Lanka know exactly what they're doing on this tour. It's exactly the same approach that KL Rahul took to Cameron Green's debut, welcoming him to the crease earnestly, without irony. It's the perfect way to discombobulate Australia mentally. Now, some are in there saying, no, actually, Sri Lanka's going through a really tough time, and they're thanking Australia for bolstering the happiness of the crowd, etc. Incorrect and disrespectful to Sri Lankans to say that. This was
naive.
Very, very astute psychology from Sri Lanka. Glenn Maxwell said it after the game. He said, we're used to being the enemy. Sri Lanka knows how to beat Australia. I see problems ahead for this series. So to move into the series, a few thoughts.
Yeah, please.
Away series cricket is where you find out if you're any good, all right? Yep. And like this has got, to use a footballing term, this has got banana skin written all over it. This Test series, we don't win there, right? We haven't won there since 2004, when basically every player was an all timer. We can't reverse sweep that well. Nathan Lyon's never taken wickets there. And simultaneously, our country has no respect for Sri Lanka at all, and the public expects to win 2-0, both by an innings, while we watch the footy. Right? Do you know what I mean? Like, all the ingredients are there. Yeah. And, like, the other thing I'm noting is we're talking a lot of shit in the press. Like, there's been a week of speculation about whether Swepson will play or a finger spinner will play. Some weird shit going on here. We're making a lot of noise, and we're briefing press about the fact that we might be playing a finger spinner. Like indications Agar would have played if he didn't have a side strain. We're rushing Duck Holland over. Matt Kuhnemann on the show. We haven't spoken to him yet. He's getting airtime. You invest for 5 years in Swepson. He gets a ragger, and now you're not going to pick him. Like, I just wonder if they're playing silly buggers over that. Like, it was suggested to me by somebody who would know that they held Swepson back from the one-dayers to not show him to the Sri Lankan players and played all the left-arm orthodox guys. Why are we even playing these fucking games with Sri Lanka? You know, are we already beaten mentally? The other thing is, like, can Australia just win on ranked turners? These are meant to be ranked. This is just going to be a rank-ass turner. Take the quicks out of it. Can we do it? The other thing he goes... This is the scene of Nathan Lyon's Test debut, so there's going to be a lot of footage of him nicking off Kumar Sangakkara or whatever. I'm more of a
Trent Copeland.
I'm more of a Copeland second ball to Tilakratna Dilshan guy myself. Obviously, Tilakratna Dilshan now plays for Endeavour Hills. Whereas Kumar Sangakkara is like answering the door in his robe in London, and also commentating for Sky and looking $1 trillion in the nets when they do their fucking masterclass thing. You know, people are talking about how we can reach out to new audiences or consolidate people around the game of cricket. I could watch a 24-hour channel of fucking Sangakkara on a ball machine. That's just me. Check my hard drives all you want. So that's my preview of the Sri Lanka series.
Well, my favourite memory of Australia playing Test cricket in Sri Lanka is when Michael Clarke takes a good catch off Jay Wardner, and Jay Wardner stands there, and then Michael Clarke goes, Mahela, 100%, 100%, because, you know, he caught it and he was out, so fuck off. So, yeah, but what's he like as a bloke? So Glenn Maxwell's in line for a call-up, apparently. He's been calling to replace Travis Head, who's got a string. Mitchell Starc is apparently available. He split his finger. He bowled for an hour and a half yesterday or on Sunday. Agar's obviously in a race for the second test with a side strain. Steve Smith apparently is not going to be 100%, but he probably will play. So I think the likely 11 for me, Pez, Warner, Khawaja, Marner, Smith, Head or Maxwell, Green at 6, Carey 7, and then I've got Cummins 8, Lyon 9, Swepson, and then Hazelwood.
Starc will play instead of Hazelwood. Like Hazelwood is the one that makes way when they're going with two spinners. Starc took 1 million wickets there last time. I think Hazelwood made way in Pakistan as well. But I think you're right. I think they should give Swepson first crack, and if he fails, then have a look at a finger spinner. But there's a lot of stuff in the press about how like Harath told Nathan Lyon that, you know, you just need to stay in the same area and or some shit like that. But I mean, I just don't understand how, if you give Swepson so much investment and there are so few opportunities where a spinner can actually excel, that you then go, nah, we're just going to get Ducky Holland over.
Well, that's it. I mean, Holland hasn't been in the squad for 4 years, and he obviously was not first picked. But it's like, but now they just want they'll take anything. They'll take any of this kind of thing, because I saw a thing with Adam Voger saying like it's not the one that spins on the outside edge, it's the one that goes straight on. That's obviously left arm finger spinner stuff. Obviously, Harath 400 and something test wickets over there. I guess Leach played there as well last year. I mean, the equivalent of this series was last year when England went to Sri Lanka. They won 2-0. Fucking, what's his name? Lawrence scored a ton, I think. Joe Root scored back-to-back 200s. So can Australia find someone to score back-to-back 200s? That'd be nice, because Sri Lanka's likely top 7 is going to be Karuna Ratner, Nasanka, who obviously played really well in the one-day series, and Kusal Mendez, Angelo Matthews, De Silva, Chandimal, Dickweller. That's their top 7. It's fucking a bit... It's a bit... Yeah, meh, isn't it? Like, it's a bit meh. Like, it's all a bit average 35 to 40 in Test cricket. Like,
yeah, but how
Australia
is it at
should have
home?
enough...
Yeah. It's just funny, mate. Like, Sri Lanka do okay at home. They lose to England and they lose to India, but they knock over, West Indies, Bangladesh. They beat South Africa there last time. And I just note that, like, the last time Australia went to Sri Lanka in 2016, there was this sense that, like, Australia might have the building blocks to go to number 1 again. They'd won 5 series out of 6. They'd just lost an Ashes in England, which they want to do 3-2. But they'd basically they'd done really well, 5 series out of 6. And then that Sri Lanka series presaged a whole, almost a collapse, They then lost to South Africa at home. They drew with Bangladesh. They lost to India. And they're in a similar-ish position again. I know they're, like, officially number 1 in the world or some shit like that. But, like, now, like, if you are number 1 in the world, you win this series and you win it handsomely. But it's going to be, like, I think for a purist, it's a really interesting series, potentially more so than Pakistan, because Australia knows how to play some quick bowling. They know how to reverse, and they know how to play on flat wickets, which is basically what Pakistan surfed up. But this is going to be like this is minefield turning shit. This is a specific test of batting technique, and it's a specific test for Nathan Lyon. And I think for that reason, it's a huge series for Steve Smith. Steve Smith's been worked out since the Ashes in 2019 with guys who bump him and put guys on the leg side, or they starve him outside off stump. And he's played a waiting game but hasn't found any rhythm or fluency. But if Sri Lanka are going to take quicks out of the game, essentially, then you'd think that opens up an opportunity for Steve Smith, who's a really good player of spin. He lives for runs. It's been dry, and it's been a minute for him. I think it's a really interesting series for him and for Nathan Lyon.
Completely agree. I'd add a third one on top of that, and that would be Marnus for me, who obviously came into the side on the back of 2019 just in blistering form and scored all those runs against that fantastic touring team New Zealand in Australia, and went to number 1 test batter at some point. It's also been a little bit of time for him as well, to a lesser extent than what it has been for Steve Smith. I completely agree with you on Smith, but I want to see some Marnus runs. I want to see some Smith runs. I mean, Smith is the thing, because Australia can't be the best team in the world unless Smith is one of the best 2 batters in the world. So, I need that. I mean, we saw wonderful form from Khawaja in Pakistan. It'd be interesting to see that as well. I mean, so many left-handers in Australia's top 5, and there's 3 if head plays. And I wonder if that will come into Sri Lanka's thinking with a leg spinner as opposed to a left-arm orthodox. Because, I mean, I understand why they want to play left-arm orthodoxes in this modern form, because there's just LBWs deluxe. You get the stumps involved, whereas a leg spinner, that's a little bit harder to hit the stumps and get LBW, especially on raging turners. I'm sure that's the Swepson discussion. But they've also, because, I mean, Sri Lanka's brought in this guy who hasn't played a test before, who is Art van der Sey.
Yeah, that's right. Edwin's brother.
Edwin van der Sey, who played in the white ball series, but he's got a good record in first class cricket. He averages 26 in first class cricket. I read yesterday. Stat dog woof woof. But just breathe, just let it come. So yeah, who knows what will happen? And many people will listen to this after they pick the team. So fuck, what do we know,
mate? One more. The potential selection of Glenn Maxwell, I think that's really interesting, just for what it says about the principles that guide selections in cricket teams now.
Completely agree.
And
Yeah.
so to lay out the foundations for it, I think that Glenn Maxwell is one of the most talented cricketers in the world. I think he's been criminally underutilised and under, I guess, what's the word? Like, supported since the start of his career. And so I'd be really happy to see him play Test cricket for Australia because he can do it. However, to bring in a guy who hasn't played a red ball game since 2019 and to, get him to dust off his baggy green in circumstances where there was literally an Australia A tour to Sri Lanka and guys like Jimmy Pearson, obviously wicketkeeper, Henry Hunt, just scored runs for Australia A in Sri Lanka to win them a game. Other guys scored runs too, Aaron Hardy, etc. It just reminds you that like many of the systems that are meant to or purported to support the national team are becoming redundant. That there is a confluence of white ball and red ball stuff going on at the moment. Glenn Maxwell, with respect to him, because he makes millions and he's entitled to do that, he would find a state cricket contract prohibitive. A state cricket contract gets in the road of his earning power. So I just think it's interesting that the Australian team are nodding to that and saying, look, he's the best guy for the job, and he's scored 100 in India before. He's got the tools to do it, and he can make that transition from T20 cricket, from white ball cricket to red ball cricket, ahead of guys who have been sweating it out, playing long form stuff in sides that are meant to support the Test team, like Australia A. So to be clear, it's nothing against Glenn Maxwell, the person, and I'm still happy on that level that he's found his side door back into the Australian side, and I hope he does well. But I think it's an interesting revealer of the way that support structures are becoming increasingly redundant when it comes to the top of red ball cricket, and I think that plays into our BBL discussion we're about to have.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point, man. I agree, and I actually wondered if part of the reason he would be playing, because he's been bowling so well in the white ball stuff as well. His bowling is actually excellent. I mean, he's much better off spinning than what Travis Head is. I think Travis Head would be first selected if he's going to be fit with his string. But I actually wondered if Cameron Green might actually make weight in. Well, it's only 2 Test series, but they actually might play Maxwell instead of him, perhaps, for some extra bowling. I mean, it probably won't happen, but I just wondered if that is possible. The BBL, Pez. Now, Usman Khawaja's stated recently, has said, I personally think the BBL, if it wants to grow and be fair dinkum about it, we need to think about privatising it. Apparently, he's had discussions with Nick Hockley. He's walked into the office, and Nick Hockley apparently agreed with him. That privatisation is the way to go. This is on the back of BBL obviously introducing an overseas player draft, where top players can make $340K and not be required to stay for the whole tournament. Obviously, the BBL is now competing against the South Africa T20, this T20 league, obviously the UAE league as well. There's Australia players are supposed to play against South Africa in a white ball series after the tests finish in January, but now that's going to be put in the bin because South Africa want to go home and play in this new series that they've got going on there, which obviously gives rise to the current Test players actually playing the Big Bash for the first time in maybe 10 years. So that's good. But yeah, privatisation of the Big Bash. I can see what he's saying. Can't really see CA losing much control of the actual league and tournament, though, which is what would happen if they gave it to private ownership of franchises.
I think it will happen. I think private ownership of the BBL will happen. I think that administrators' language has softened on it. A couple of years ago, there was a lot firmer position taken from administrators on the some of the risks of private ownership, and I think some of those risks are really valid. But you can't. I don't think one can understand this conversation about private equity into the BBL and separate it from the recent IPL media rights deal. So I don't think people realise how much that IPL media rights deal will change the game. Literally billions has come into the game. We live in a nakedly capitalist paradigm. the game of cricket will orient itself now to capitalise on deals like that, which is domestic franchise T20 cricket. And each country will, like the market hand will force it to shape itself so that deals like this continue to come in. It will need some protections of international cricket and test cricket, etc. I actually don't think it's a death knell for test cricket. I just think that all systems supporting national cricket will be much more T20 oriented. I think grade cricket will go that way. I think state cricket will go that way. It's already happening. Look at the Sheffield Shield. It's been played in fucking August in, shit tips in Adelaide, with respect. Test cricket will become the celebration of a pastime, like weirdos who recreate medieval battles on Saturday morning, or like Civil War reenactments. That's what Test cricket will become. But mate, the question with the BBL is about money to compete against other leagues, right? It just doesn't look like they are generating enough money to get the sorts of players that they need. Like the UAE has more money. South African cricket has more money. I don't know if those competitions can sustain themselves, because competitions do come and go. But, Usman Khawaja is going to be in favour of more money coming into the BBL. I'm not saying it's just because it goes to him. He claims that he's saying it because it will help younger players coming through. But my understanding is that Cricket Australia are looking at private ownership a little bit more seriously than what they were. But in the interests of black hatting it, one issue with private ownership is that Cricket Australia's remit is meant to be a little bit broader than just profit. Some might say it's not, but it's meant to be. You're meant to return some of that money back to the community or back to clubs. It has a not-for-profit kind of spirit, probably even more than that. Whereas a private owner that comes in, they don't have as much obligation, moral or commercial, to return some of the profits back to the community. What do the Mumbai Indians care about fucking old mate, playing on good nets at Drummoyne? So there is some care that Cricket Australia has to take before receiving private money, but I don't know how they can compete with other competitions without it. That's where the game's going. Sorry for the multiple monologues there.
There's an issue generally with the Big Bash in that there's not enough money. It goes for way too long. And none of the best players playing it. I'm sort of reminded recently because, I think, was it the Big Bash or someone's been putting out photos of, the best teams, the best players that have played in the Big Bash. And it's all at the very beginning of the tournament. Like McCullum was playing with Flintoff at the Heat. AB de Villiers come out here. Whole list of good English players are playing. There was a time when really good cricketers were playing in the Big Bash. And now it's first graders playing for two different franchises in the same tournament, which is not specifically the Big Bash's fault. That's a coronavirus issue, but still, that's a huge problem with it, and it's just going to get swallowed up. So they need to do something. So yeah, sell, buy the dip, bit of crypto money, do whatever you want.
So NFTs, I don't know.
Yeah, NFTs
NASDAQ,
or something
Wall
like that.
Street.
In other news, the West Indies have just beaten Bangladesh by 10 wickets over there in St. Lucia. They've won the series 2-0. Bangladesh hit 234 in the first innings, way unders. West Indies hit 408. Kyle Myers hit 146. He also got man of the series. Took some poles in that first game as well. Bangladesh then in the third innings hit 186. And the West Indies chased an enormous 13 for no loss, winning the game by 10 wickets.
Love those chases.
The most significant parts of that series was Kemar Roach going past Michael Holding. It's 249 test wickets, I think it was. He took 0 in the first dig, but he took 3 for 54 in the second. Michael Holding saying lots of nice things about Kemar Roach, which is lovely to see. So it makes him the sixth highest test wicket taker in West Indies cricket history. Not bad, I reckon.
I think Kemar Roach came out the other day, mate, and said... Didn't he come out the other day and say something like, I love looking at my stats in bed even if I haven't played a game? He just goes to bed and looks at his stats,
Yeah.
Again, it's like James Anderson saying he'd prefer the fifer instead of the win. Like, we're just getting a
100%.
little bit more honesty from international cricketers, and it's very welcome. He literally takes his stats to bed in his phone. He probably cuddles up, and it makes him feel fucking great just looking at numbers next to his name. Good for him. That's how cricketers play, and it's good that he's honest about it. It's good that he's not saying like, oh look, it's just like Daryl Mitchell, like Lur said to us on the show last week. Well, it doesn't really matter much, but because we didn't get the win, I was pretty gutted. Fuck off, Lur.
Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up. With respect.
Friend of the show. Congratulations on your 3 Test hundreds in a row. A slightly concerning thing about Test cricket generally outside of the 3 teams that play the sport is that West Indies don't even have a shirt sponsor at the moment. They're just playing this Test series with just the West Indies logo on the left breast, nothing on the rest of the shirt, nothing on the collar, nothing on the right breast, which is probably quite alarming given they cannot find a shirt sponsor. But Tallawahs in the Caribbean Premier League look pretty strong this year. A bit of franchise stuff. God, they give it a whack. And Matthew Kuhnemann is on the show, Pez, who we're about to speak to in a moment's time. I'm going to thank our dearest friends at Budgy Smuggler, budgysmuggler.com.au or .uk, depending where you are across the lands. Pez, we were very fortunate to receive from Budgy Smuggler the new kit. There's a new tracksuit, new tracksuit and hoodie range in Australia, new swimwear in the UK, of course. Lots of people in the UK at the moment. Lots of people travelling. Nice to see people out and about again across the lands. Hopefully staying safe. But new swimwear, of course, in the UK. But new tracksuit and hoodie range in the south down here. Pez, I had a circuit on the weekend. Now, we were obviously, as I said before, we were lucky enough to receive some of this new merchandise to wear. You can see Sam Perry wearing some right now, as a matter of fact.
Have a look.
Have a look at it.
T-shirts too. Here we go.
Have a look at it. Now, I had an unopened box from Budgy Smuggler and had a circuit just out with some girlfriends on the weekend. I decided... I wouldn't go home unless there's 2.
I'm not going out unless there's 2.
Anyway, so I was playing the role of gay best friend on the weekend. Okay. It was me and I think I was with 8 girlfriends, 9 maybe.
Fuck me.
And anyway, they've been drinking for most of the day. I met up with them later. And then it got to the stage where kick-ons needed to happen. Now, I was playing the role of hospitable host. And so I decided
You brought 8 girls back to your house?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just the gay friend. Yeah, come back. Something in the bathroom
First of all,
for
they
you.
know who I am. They're not. It's not like I wasn't playing a role. Like I wasn't fucking cosplaying. Anyway, all of a sudden, and let's be honest, it's 3 a.m, and good times were had. But then they see this box of unopened Budgy Smuggler merch, and all of a sudden, there's 8 birds in my house wearing Budgy Smugglers hoodies, tracksuits,
right?
I don't know, just an array, t-shirts, and so I'm just saying it was popular. It was a hit. Budgy Smuggler.
Yeah.
.com.
Well, you can have a look at if you're watching on YouTube. I've actually got a few of them here as well. Here's your hoodie. I'm telling you, that is real smooth on the old fingers, on the old digits.
Yeah, out of the mitts on it.
Yeah, and they got some. I mean, look, I can't put these on here in Darwin. It's pretty hot.
That's a sweat issue.
We're talking about Budgy Smuggler leveling up to an apparel company. Watch out, competitors. Very happy to push that along the way. And obviously, as Higgos is demonstrating, if you want to pretend you're gay to get 8 women back to your house, it can also be so versatile that you can leave a box of unopened merch on a table for them to see, knowing exactly what will happen. And they'll share that. There wasn't even that many clothes, so some of them were wearing some clothes. And they can model that around their house as well. It's 3 a.m. Everyone listening to the show wants to know what happened afterwards. And I know you're not going to tell them. But again, Linny, if you're listening, this is the sort of way we can pump your clothing up, brother. Plenty of stories where that came from.
Well, also what happened was at the end, like at the end, what am I talking about?
Yeah. Tell us what happened at the end. No, what happened at the end?
Pez has just got up and left. But no, it's just
because also in the box he goes was some smugglers. So were they putting them on as well?
Yeah, I got some putting them on. Yeah.
So mate, so your girlfriend.
Anyway, I woke up in the morning, mate. Then the next morning, it's a Sunday morning. My apartment's a fucking bomb site. Yeah, they're putting that on. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. How many of them stayed over?
No. No one stayed over. They literally just my girlfriends. And then but now I'm missing a whole bunch of merch. I literally just got up and left with it.
They stole it. That's how good it is.
They stole it. Yeah, they stole it. I'm livid.
My wife told me overnight, she did a night shift. She was talking to a colleague of hers who had his car stolen from the hospital, and they found his car 3 hours away in the Daly River. And a couple of kids had been living in it for a few days. This is the story I was told. And there was like tins of spam and tuna and stuff in there and tools from them breaking his car. And then he got his car back. Obviously, it was not roadworthy anymore. But as he was going through it, he found a cut-off rat's tail that had been plaited and called the police to say, "I found genetic evidence," and they're like, "Mate, it's too small fry for us. We're not going after the criminals of a car theft,
Fuck.
Yeah. We all have people that leave things at the house. I guess is what I'm saying. It could be a car. It could, whatever.
Yeah. And when you said cut off rat's tail, I'm fucking so dumb. The first thing I thought of was a rat's tail.
Oh, that makes sense. From the hair.
Not a hairstyle.
No, thanks for clarifying. Yeah. BudgySmuggler.com.
Here he is. Here's the great man, Matthew Kuhnemann.
Very lucky to be joined by Gold Coast, Queensland, Brisbane Heat, and Australian cricketer Matt Kuhnemann. And I say that in that order as well of importance. Matt, welcome to the Grade Cricketer.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, Matt, straight into the important stuff, grade cricket. Like a key theme of this show is that if you can survive grade cricket, you can do anything in life. Even though grade cricket seems to get no media love, it didn't seem to stop the Gold Coast Bulletin in 2017 dedicating an entire article to you recording bad figures in a game against Sandgate. It said Kuhnemann 20 was the target of friends and teammates after going for heavy figures of 180 or something like that. Is Gold Coast cricket the most cutthroat of all grade cricket? And do you think that kind of media bullying has held you in good stead for your rise to international cricket?
Oh, definitely. I remember, the last 5 years, it's been brutal. If you go well, you don't really get not much mention. But if you go bad and if the team's losing, we always seem to find ourselves in pretty much the third page of the sports section. So, definitely it held me in good stead. But we love it. The boys take the mickey out of each other. So as long as the boys got a laugh, I'm happy with that.
I don't know if I've ever seen just an article for a grade cricketer recording bad figures the journo, Terry Wilson, by the way, if you're watching Terry, on YouTube, among other things, he could have written about how many runs Sandgate scored or anything like that, but he just decided to go, "Oh, Kuhnemann went for 186. That's my article this week."
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's standard. Terry he's been at the Gold Coast Bulletin for a long time, so someone could have pissed him off during the week. So, but it was good. We don't mind any publicity. It's good publicity, right?
Yeah, sort of.
Some of the great achievements, sort of finishing with, I suppose, playing for Australia, I guess. But you've obviously won a private school first 11 premiership, which is the main achievement. You've also, but I want to know, so I think you played first grade when you were 17. I think that's when you debuted for the Gold Coast when you were 17. I noticed you won a first grade game for the Dolphins against Toombul. You put on 70 for the 10th wicket. I mean, what kind of scenes are that to win a game, putting on 70 for the 10th wicket to win a game? I mean, afterwards, sheds, tubs, what are we looking at? Beers everywhere?
Oh, it was incredible. It was actually one of the better days of my cricket journey because I could have probably nicked off 5 times and got dropped. So that sort of made everything all a little bit better. So and because our change rooms are quite close, you heard the Toonerville coach blowing up their players. So no, that was fantastic. One of the great wins for Gold Coast.
So you could hear the opposition team just absolutely losing it whilst you're singing the team song?
Yeah. We actually delayed our team song to listen to the whole blow up.
Just going through the teams you've represented, Matt, rep teams, school teams, age group, the academy, your state, the country. You've also played for a team called the Snuffs. And I want to know, who are the Snuffs? What's the team culture like? How's the season been? And have you killed anyone before?
I don't think I've ever played for the Snuffs, but I know what you're talking about. It's a good bunch of fellas who's cricket tragic. So I've actually never played for them, so I don't know where you got that from. But no, they're a good bunch of legends who just love cricket tragics.
It's on your My Cricket. It's saying that you've represented Snuffs. So
I've been hacked.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on, isn't there?
Yeah. Okay.
Everyone's claiming that. Okay. Look, Matt, the question everyone wants to know ahead of the first test as we record, we're speaking to you a day out from the test commencing in Gaul. Australia hasn't named its side yet. There's a raft of speculation about who's going to partner Nathan Lyon. There's zero chance right now that you would provide us with any exclusive on that information. In fact, it would be irresponsible and career limiting for you to do so. So I'll ask a different question. Are your family coming over to watch this test match?
No, they're not. But I have no idea what the team's going to be. So whatever team they put out, they'll do a good job. So no, my family are coming to Sri Lanka.
Okay, so I'll roll you out there. Okay. Do you know who's
standby?
playing? No, you don't know. No. They on standby at the airport, not with Qantas.
No.
Just to speak about your international ascendance, Matt. So according to Russell Gould in News Limited papers, before the one day that you debuted in, you were actually boarding a bus with Australia A when you apparently got the tap on the shoulder. I don't know if that was metaphorical, physically, like usually getting on the bus and someone's tapping on the shoulder. But you got the tap that Ashton Agar had done his side and that you'd be debuting for Australia in the ODIs. How tough was it to say in public that you were gutted for Ash?
No, I was gutted for Ash because this is a big tour for him and he's a legend of a bloke. So, no, everything, I didn't really get the time to sink it all in. So, no, it's a funny game, cricket. I wasn't expecting to play for Australia this tour. So, yeah, these things happen, I guess.
Yeah, that seems like a rehearsed answer. So you were obviously elated.
Right.
You played for the CA 11, which was pretty outspoken. A lot of people outspoken about there was not great to have the Caxi side in the domestic tournament. You played it in 2017, 18, I think. I'm right in saying that. So you're a young guy, early 20s. Did you find that experience like playing in that competition like beneficial? I mean, you guys you lost a lot of games playing for that, but do you actually find it beneficial in your development? Because a lot of guys have played for Australia, having played for the Cax 11 a number of years ago now. But did you find it beneficial?
Yeah, it was definitely. I've actually never heard someone call it the Cax 11 before. No, it was good. It was awesome to get to play against them, like the best players in the country at the time on like these tiny ovals in Sydney. So, yeah, it was awesome. I loved it. Just to be around that professional environment was great.
And did the team develop a bond? Like, do you guys have reunions? And like, was there a team song if you won a game or anything like that? You know, away from Caxi, I don't know.
Well, we didn't really win many games. I don't know. If we won one game. So.
Yeah, tough season.
It was a tough season. So fast forwarding to literally playing for Australia. The other day you opened the bowling in your debut for Australia, which is you probably weren't expecting that, bowling left arm orthodox. You start solidly enough, and then you get Nasanka's edge. Carey takes it, and you've got your first wicket for your country. And I've just always wanted to know, how irritating is it in that moment to have achieved a lifelong ambition, to celebrate it with like 10 other blokes trying to rub your hair off?
Oh, it was like I said before, the whole thing, like even told I was playing, like at the day the afternoon of the game that I was going to play. Then Finchy giving me the new ball, saying you're also going to bowl with the new ball. I've gone, oh my goodness, this is insane. But I actually didn't even hear the edge, so I sort of go up for everything. If the ball hits a pad or someone else appears, I'll go up with him. So I actually didn't realise it was out until Kez said it was pretty adamant he hit it.
You didn't you look pretty cool with it. You're like, yeah, no, it's definitely out. It was a relaxed celebration as well. I was like, yeah, I just sort of had him outside off stump there as well to sort of lure him forward. Was that the plan? Was the plan to take his outside edge?
No, the plan was, I was sweating so much, so I was shitting myself. So I was lucky that I got a wicket that spun, and that ball spun, and he just chucked the bat at it. So no, it was all luck, I reckon.
When Aaron Finch gives you the tap on the shoulder, again, just a lot of tapping on shoulders happening here. But contact. Like, I mean, you're in the environment of, elite professional athletes where you can't show any weakness. Now, Aaron Finch says, well, you're going to bowl with a new ball. You obviously can't say to him, I don't think that's a very good idea, Aaron. I don't want to. So like, how are you presenting the? Yeah. How are you presenting the information? Yep. Yeah, definitely new ball. 3 slips, please. Bat pad in. Yeah. Give me everything. What did you say to him?
No, just a lot of, awesome. Sounds good. No,
sounds good.
Sounds good. Wasn't expecting it, but no, looking back on it, it was pretty cool to be a part of that team and open the bowling, which is something I don't really do. So no, it was unreal.
I know it's been a fairly meteoric rise. I mean, to play for Australia, relatively speaking. But I mean, this series of Asia tours for Australia, Pakistan obviously just come, and then Sri Lanka, and then India. Beginning of next year. Did you have any sort of target in mind that this might happen for you? I mean, obviously Australia's trying to find a second spinner or a replacement for Nathan Lyon, who might have another few years left in his career, sure. But did you have any sort of target in mind, maybe at the beginning of the Shield season, perhaps even, that this might come around?
Not necessarily. Like when them tours are coming up, but you don't really. Well, I wasn't really thinking about it. I was more so just trying to, the start of the Shield Shield season, just get a few games for Queensland and go from there. But I sort of enjoy training, so I don't really look too far ahead of myself.
And preparing for this tour, Matt, I note that you trained with Steve O'Keefe. It's actually ahead of the Australia A tour. You'd had a bowl with him when the Heat played the Sixers like a little while ago, and then before a game. That sounds funny. And then and the BBL sounds like a serious competition when guys are just bowling with each other before the game. But then you flew. I'm telling you things you already know here, but you then flew down to Sydney and had a bowl. And this is what cricket.com.au is reporting. You had a bowl at his club, which must have been Manly. So can you run us through what happens there? Like, you fly down. Does he pick you up, or you get an Uber? And then when you go to training, like, do you have your own net with him, or do you bowl to third graders? Did you start in the first net? Did the Manly guys recognize you? And did you have a beer with Sock afterwards? And did anything funny happen there? That's got to happen.
No, Socky's a legend. I'm really grateful that he came up this morning to have a bowl. So I was down in Sydney. I just flicked him a message, and he told me to meet him at Manly. So hopped on the ferry and just went there and met him there. There was no one at the club, so I was happy about that. So we had our own net, and we just pretty much just talked everything: spin bowling, cricket, life. So it was awesome. Sock's a legend. So that was great.
You obviously you've been around some fantastic spinners in Queensland as well. None more so than Marnus. I think you got a rookie contract. The same year you got your rookie contract, Marnus was given his first Bulls contract when he was 21, which would have made you about 18 or 19, I'm guessing. Was Marnus already renowned around Queensland grade cricket at the time? Was he buying leg spin, taking the new ball? What was at Redlands there? Was he well known already?
Yeah, everyone knows Marnie because just the way he is and the way he plays his cricket. So no, Marnie was probably taking a new ball bowling pace, bowling leg spin during the middle and bowling a few off spinners at the end. So no, it's nothing. All this new stuff about Marnie isn't new. He's very competitive, and he's just he's also like a legend. So being able to spend some time with him has been fantastic.
Okay, Matt. I note crickx.com, which kind of sounds a bit how you're going. It's just an English talent agency. But crickx.com has announced, as a strange category, has announced that you've signed for Shenley Village Cricket Club in 2022. Now that you open the bowling for Australia, are you aware that you don't need to play English village cricket anymore, and that you can probably do better than a pound a run living in the president's basement and a job as assistant groundsman? What's the status of that deal?
Yeah, you both do your research. No, actually, so I was planning on going over there, then this sort of happened. So and now I'm uneligible to actually play club cricket over there. So
how does
that's
that
a
feel?
good email. That's a good email. Yeah,
ineligible to play club.
Sorry, guys, I've been playing for Australia.
Yeah. So no, it's funny how it all happened, but it's a shame because it would have been. I sort of like going over there and playing cricket in England. So so that sort of happened over the last couple of weeks, and now I'm lucky enough to stay in Gaul and help the boys out. Yeah.
I mean, like, because I sort of imagine the conversation between you and Pat Cummins in Sri Lanka, like, oh, what are you doing after this? And he's like, I'm going back to my house in Vaucluse or whatever with my family. What are you doing? I'm playing for Shenley, Shenley Village. With respect to Shenley, good standard.
Trying to get in the Prem this year.
No, I pretty much just said I'm going over to play some cricket in England, but it didn't really say who I was playing for.
That's right. They might think you're playing the 100 or something like that. Which you probably should anyway.
Yeah.
Matt Kuhnemann, you're a lovely, polite, generous person with your time. Your career is just beginning, which is why I understand you don't want to bite on questions that kind of relate to like crickx.com almost being a pornography category. So wishing you all the best. Wishing you all the best for the Sri Lanka tour, mate. Hopefully
thank you, boys. Appreciate it.
Tomorrow. Remember us. But all the best for the tour, mate.
Thank you, boys. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much to Matthew Kuhnemann for joining us on the show over there in Sri Lanka. Or has he? It's always a real lottery. Yeah, always lottery. Things can go wrong because we haven't spoken to him just yet. Hashtag AskTGC, Pez. Now, of course, just before we get into that, just one final shout out for Patreon this week, patreon.com/Great Cricketer. We're doing the dailies for the England and India series and the Sri Lanka Australia series, happening both at the same time. Plus hashtag AskTGC Fridays and the Hall of Fame hashtag AskTGCs over time, which will be dropping in a couple of weeks' time, which we collate all those together. But we also need to say Manscaped, Pez. Manscaped, Pez. Use the code TGC for 20% off. But we've got new copy this week. Plenty of things to talk about. What are we talking about?
New copy. Haven't read it yet. It says Got Bush 4.0 copy. Hey, you. Got Bush? You definitely do if you haven't tried the best products from our sponsor today, Manscaped. Taking control of your bush is important. These products are so good, you're going to be showing pride in your new bush-free yard. So of your pubic hair is a yard now. It's a fact that you will have the best-kept nutsack on the cul-de-sac. Now, I actually live in a cul-de-sac. I haven't read this before. And, one thing that's true is that when you live in a cul-de-sac, and I have to say firstly, I got a house deal, all that stuff. Yes, yeah, very lucky, whatever. We didn't aim to live in a cul-de-sac. We didn't aim to live there, but I did discover that, and touch wood, it does help you avoid crime. If you live near a park, which you'd ordinarily think with children is great, easy access to the park, it's also a good escape route for crime. Now, people at this stage are going, well, where do you live? I'm not going to fucking tell you, but...
Yeah. We'll leave it in the description. We'll leave Pez's
We'll leave it in the description, and my address in the description, in the show notes. Just look it up. Anyway, save big and be the most hygienic version of yourself by using our discount code here, TGC, for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Here goes. Just putting you on the spot here. How do you approach taming your bush? Do you look to go bald like an eagle, or just in need of a safe trim?
No, I mean, I don't go bald like an eagle. I mean, that is unless you're going to be in a small European production, there is absolutely no need at the age of 36 to be going fully bald eagle on you. No,
I would be concerned with anybody who did. Okay.
Yeah, unless you're planning on breaking a fucking 100 meters in the pool,
Did you reckon do they do that?
Well, I mean,
surely not.
yeah,
as in
they're shaving their legs, yeah.
legs, but I mean,
they're not shaving their balls to break the record.
Yeah. Otherwise, like every woman would be bald, right? Like if you had to get rid of every item of hair that could cause drag on your body, they'd rid themselves of every item of hair in their body, right?
Yeah, it's like G.I.
eyelashes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, they can still use Manscaped.
I mean, if they want to.
Yeah. Well, inside the package is the Lawnmower 4.0. The electric trimmer is a bush's worst nightmare. It's designed to reduce grooming accidents and shave hair on loose skin thanks to a ceramic blade and advanced skin-safe technology. Hey, by the way, because you're wondering this, there actually is no need for night vision goggles. Because I know when I was contemplating a purchase of Manscaped, I was like, but will I need night vision goggles with this?
Yeah, are they sold separately?
No. The trimmer has an LED light to allow you to mow the lawn in the dark.
Who's doing this in the dark? You shouldn't need to feel such shame.
Yeah. I mean, you might need different if it's early in the morning, maybe your partner's asleep or something. You don't want to light to creep through. They're a night shift
What are you doing in the bathroom there?
It's basic landscaping. When you trim the hedges, the tree stands taller. You know, sometimes when you're like in your own landscaping, sometimes you can have poisonous, noxious weeds in there that can actually poison the rest of. And I wonder if they're going to deal with that in this metaphor and what that would be, some sort of sexually transmitted disease.
Yeah, or like stinging nettles. Yeah,
that'd be really concerning if you. Yeah, exactly. Well, the second best tool is actually the Weed Whacker. It's a finely tuned nose and ear hair trimmer, which will make sure your nasty nose pubes are under control. Nose pubes. I've never thought of that. Nose pubes. Yeah. Hey, with the performance package purchase, you get 2 free gifts. The Shed travel bag and the patented high-performance reduced chafing Manscaped boxes. Oh, well, thank fuck they're patented.
I don't wear anything that isn't patented.
I like the copy then just fades away here. Like they've done like 10 points and then it's just they have a bunch of other products on their website to help you maximize your confidence. Yeah, and a bunch of other stuff as well. 20% off free shipping using code TGC at manscaped.com.
Hashtag AskTGC. A non-road in Pez. Boysies! I come to you today in regards to some shadow batting content of myself that was recently published across your social media pipes. Bit of wedding first dance stuff. I do not wish to provide an explanation, but merely to ask a question. Pez, you want to interject here and just remind the people what we saw on the social media? People might have already seen it.
Yeah. So got a message recently of a couple of wedding photos. Didn't really understand what it was about and who, like what the context was. But it was from Liam. And it's a wonderful photo. Liam and Nicole got married recently, a couple of months ago. Congratulations to Liam and Nicole. I'm just looking at it now on my phone, not just reading other texts. And they sent through a beautiful photo, both looking great. Wedding looks lovely, fairy lights everywhere. Beautiful, pose for their wedding first dance. And then if you just concentrate on the background, their MC, he obviously wants to be anonymous, so I won't say his name.
Yeah.
Is standing there, and like go into our socials to see. It's one of the recent posts. He's standing there. He looks every inch the MC as well, like quite a loud-ish jacket, holding a cricket bat, it looks like a full men's-sized cricket bat with his top hand, as though he was a left-hander, seeming to be kind of pushing at one to extra cover. Just a little bit out in front of his pad. And anyway,
it was away from the body a little bit.
Fractionally. Like it's actually it's a full face of the bat, maybe a little bit open.
It's not bad.
His elbow's in shape. Wouldn't say it's up, but it's in shape. Maybe it's a flat wicket. But anyway, he's not fully he's not bending his knee or anything like that, but he's just playing with his hands. But it just makes
he's not getting like top of the bounce, not quite getting top of the bounce.
He's not on top of that. Yeah, and yeah, Liam just sent it saying, how about this beauty? He's just got this wonderful photo of him and his wife during their first dance, and in the background, his MC is actually just poking at just nicking one a second slip. And I asked if I could post it, and he said yes. So this is actually, and then his mate Anon has seen it, and this is his reply.
A small part of me thought I should write in for some tips on my technique. However, the wider cricketing online community have given me plenty to consider in the comments, including but not limited to my low elbow, my back hip position, my closed bat face, my putrid footwork, and my bald head. Instead, like many others who write in, I ask, what the fuck is wrong with me? I don't even play cricket. I've never played cricket. I'm so out of touch with the cricketing playing realm that I never get nicked off while shadow batting. Right. In fact, I middle everything. You better believe that despite my previously mentioned and blindingly obvious technical flaws, that shot pictured rocketed along the carpet through extra cover for 4. What a fucking disgrace. Anyway, please help. Do I apologise to the bride and groom, cover the cost to Photoshop myself out and never pick up a stick again? Or do I blow the image up, put it in a frame, find somewhere nice to hang it in their house and continue shadow middling the world's best attacks while telling people that Miss World Australia found something that I did funny? Kindly, Anon.
Oh, yeah. Aaron Holland liked it.
He's referring to Aaron Holland, right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I think that's a great idea, if a non... Well, I mean, I don't want to go straight to the point, but, like, yes, that's exactly what happens. Like, any footage that you put up of playing cricket will be absolutely ripped to shreds in terms of technical criticism, right? Like, in fact, you could put up footage of Ian Bell in his pomp, and if you changed the face and, maybe deep faked it to just being you in the nets, you'd still find 1,000 nonces on the internet who will tell you what's wrong with that technique. So there's no winning there. You could do it with Bradman. I mean, Bradman did have a few technical flaws, to be honest, but
bit of a straight front leg, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. He's not straight enough as well. But yeah, and he could have manipulated the field a little bit with a few shots. But anyway,
couldn't hit sixes, weak, beater.
That's right. Or he was afraid of a short ball. So yeah, I mean, you have to expect that. But in terms of what he should do, I do think he's got to own it, and I think hanging up in the house, and if he's lucky enough to have children. It can serve as a reminder of the importance of practice and sacrifice and concentration at every moment of every day. Because he's one of his great friends is getting married and having his first dance, but that still didn't stop him just picking up a cricket bat. Like that just goes to show what cricket does to you, doesn't it? Like I think we can all empathise, can't we? It doesn't matter what is happening, if there's a cricket bat, you want to pick it up and you want to swing 100%. It, right?
Yep. It's like a magnet. Every time I see it, I need it in my hands, and I just want to start just making shapes, like cutting shapes. Not cutting. That's I never shout about a cut shot. That's you got to keep it in a very tight parameters.
Very tight.
Maybe leaning one to the leg side. Maybe just closing the face on one, getting sort of mid wicket area. Yeah. But you're basically playing straight down the ground.
Oh, and I should say,
off the second slip
with a non there, like your point about not making any any movement too demonstrative is right. Like in Toastmasters, they say, stay within the box in public speaking. Don't gesticulate too wildly. It distracts people, right? I'm not sure I agree with that, but it's the same with shadow batting. If you're expansive in any way, you're revealing yourself as wheelie bin, cuck nonce, and I think that a non has. To be fair, has demonstrated that. I don't think he could have extended that shot any further than what he has. I'm surprised it's gone for 4. There's no extension to it, but that's what he says.
Well, let's just play. He might have been playing it headingly because those the wickets there. Once it gets on the wickets,
it gets on the practice wickets.
Yeah. Then
so it's gone square.
You can't run that down. Yeah. I also really love the idea that he's had a look at who's liked it.
Absolutely.
And Aaron's liked it, and he's like, well,
who's he got?
Is now my time to DM?
Yeah, that's right. It's
now my time to DM Aaron Holland, even though she's married.
Who else did he get? He got Copes, Pete Hanscom,
Finchy would have liked it.
Aiden Blizzard, Mason Crane, Chris Green, Phoebe Litchfield, Chris Wokes, World Cup winner. Yeah. Daryl Mitchell. Daryl Mitchell liked it on the morning of the test. So, and he scored 100.
What's he doing on his phone? Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Alert the ICC.
very interesting.
Meant to surrender your phone, aren't you, Lur? Bloke's come on our show, scored 300s, and now he's a match fixer. Sorry. He's not. It's alleged. It's satire. That's good, man. All right. Anonymous, right there. Time for one more?
Yeah, sure.
Anonymous. Boys, I'm a second team clubby with ambitions for first team cricket. With an average of about 30-odd, 21.33, I've been feeling good about my game this year for the first time in a while, and after getting over my mother leaving my dad, who's a club stalwart, and a bloody good bloke. I didn't see it going there. More on this later. Just love where it appears in the paragraph. More on this later. With restrictions in the UK lifting, me and the boys before Saturday's game decided on an impromptu circuit in Blackpool and York on the Thursday and Friday with the aim of a century circuit chop. As the nights in Blackpool and York unravelled, I chased the mouse with near success. A couple of lasses kissed and phone numbers exchanged, but no chops secured. Ah, well, there's always the century, ? Come Saturday, with the chase of 200 and the team in trouble, I come in at 5, with the two lads gone before me to dubious LBW decisions. The Oppo's club umpire with his son bowling was on fire. 4 balls in and I'm hit on the pad going a mile down leg. I'm given. What is the fucking game? I'm in such a foul mood of no chop or century. I passed up on a Saturday night circuit only to wake up on Sunday morning with COVID symptoms. A test followed and yep, you've guessed it, I've got COVID. After sparse contact with my mother for a couple of months, the news of me getting COVID led her to contact me. The message read, "Now then, champ, how are you doing today?" So what I need answering, boys, is what is worse. Chasing a chop and securing COVID, getting triggered by an umpire who actually loves his son, or getting champed by an absent mother. Regards, Anonymous.
Fucking hell. Fucking hell.
Good man.
That's
good. Sacrificing
yeah,
himself.
that's very good. That's very good. That's very good. Now,
and he says he's feeling good about his game at 21.33, which is also humble as well. You know, he's not like that's he should feel good with an average of 21.
Mate, 21.3 is good.
Exactly.
That's
and he should feel good.
Let's get into the first paragraph. Just been getting over his mother leaving my dad, who's a club stalwart. So
that's worse.
But Mum, what about it? What about himself with the club?
What about what he's done for the club? 5,000 runs and countless fundraisers.
Mate, don't forget about the catches. He's third all-time catches at the club. 17.
What about how he got Aiden over from Australia? He made 800 runs that year.
He put up the overseas.
We went up to 3rd division. Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Okay, well, it's all gone. It's all gone. Pete Tong, hasn't it? So Blackpool and York. I've never circuited in Blackpool, but seems like a place. Yeah. Seems like a place to go. Okay, no, I don't think you can. Okay, just because you've gone out and you haven't secured a chop, I think it's still. It seems like a nice night out. You know, you're out with your friends. Couple of lasses kissed, couple of phone numbers exchanged. You're probably not going to use those phone numbers if you come from not the same city. I mean, I know, parts of the UK are very accessible, depending where Anonymous is actually living. But if he said he's gone out in Blackpool and York, so it suggests that he's actually not from those areas. He hasn't said that, but it is.
Yeah, like that's a very well-prepared circuit, like normally a circuit, I'm not saying it's just the local, but like to sort of go into various like locales. How far away is Blackpool from York? I'm just going to look that up. That's important. It's quite far, isn't it? It's a decent distance, isn't it? York's well north.
Yeah.
North.
No, Blackpool's north as well, but like,
it's 2 hours. 2 hours, 2 hour drive. Yeah. So Blackpool, you're right. It is north, but it's northwest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Anyway, so I mean, that sounds fine to me. Okay, and thirdly,
I've got one problem here, guys. Just like, sorry, technically, sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry, but a chop into a century isn't a triple C. It's the order matters. That's why we say century circuit chop. There's a reason for saying that. One begats the other. It's the century that then creates the energy and vibes for the chop. Firstly the circuit and the circuit for the chop. But you can't take a century into a chop and then count that as part of a triple C. So even if you had tonned up that day, which you didn't, that would have been a circuit chop century. It doesn't count. Yeah. Sorry, like that they're just the rules. I don't make them up.
I agree with you. That's right. In fact, we literally confected this entire thing that no one's ever done. And anytime anyone comes close, we say that's not it, because it's actually impossible. But I don't think Anon was actually saying that I got the triple C. I just think he's just trying to achieve all the things that you would like to achieve as a young male.
Well, I was just digging the boot in further, that's all.
Sure, as a man about town. Okay, thirdly, you were fucking out. Admit it. Yeah. You fall across your front pad. Yeah. Hit you in front of the middle of the leg. No one's swinging that much.
You gave them a chance. You're out. You gave them the chance. Dad's umpiring. Anything hitting your pad, you're out, and that's your fault. That's not anyone else's fault.
Yep. And lastly, I think your mum's just trying to reach out and making sure you're okay. She's giving the olive branch there, and she's champed you. What about
I don't know how far to take it,
Yeah.
Mum leaving Dad. He's a club stalwart. Yeah. I think we said
good bloke.
And a bloody good bloke. And he scored a lot of runs for the club.
Thank you very much to Matthew Kuhnemann. Thank you very much to everyone who's made it this far to this week's show. Patreon, obviously.com/Great Cricketer for the two test matches on this week. And we'll be back, of course, next week for episode 199 of The Great Cricketer. See you then.